At Subway, start your day the flavorful way by adding new guacamole to your favorite breakfast sandwich. Perfectly made with a hint of jalapeno, our guacamole turns up the flavor to your breakfast. Try it today on a hot and toasty egg, white, and cheese. Subway, eat fresh.
The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The B.S. Report. The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S. Report. I'm here with Jon Hamm. We're starring together in $1 Million Arm. He plays the lead agent.
And you play what?
I play an evil agent who's fighting against you for clients.
Bizarro World. Yeah. You're the Jay Moore to my.
What was it like
Tom
acting
Cruise?
with me? Did you like my acting?
You know what? I barely remember it. That's so weird. No offense. I don't. You didn't leave a huge. You don't leave a huge impression.
So this movie comes out on May 16th.
Yes.
You were doing an unbelievable amount of publicity for it.
I am.
I'm involved behind the scenes with this movie because I'm an executive producer.
You're an executive producer. Full disclosure.
I've been following the workload that you have, and I always thought when you're an actor, you just got to act in the movie, and then you went on Letterman and it was done. And it's actually not like that at all.
Not at all. No.
Although you're doing a lot for this movie.
I'm doing a lot for this movie for many reasons. I'm ostensibly kind of the main dude in it. And,
yes.
So it makes sense in that respect. But also, I'm very proud of the movie. I mean, I know you saw it, seen it, and I know you like it. And so do I. I feel like it's one of those things where it came together in an amazing way, and we made something that I'm incredibly proud of. And so it's like, why not talk about it to whoever wants to talk about it? And it's not just a movie for sports fans, although there is that. It's a movie for like families and dads and kids and stuff like that. And so it's also so significantly different from the character I play on TV that it's nice to get out there and talk about it. And we're still shooting the end of Mad Men too, so that's like it's been hard to kind of balance all the travel and all the press and all the stuff with the fact that I actually have a day job and have to go back to it later.
Right. Remanaging the schedule and recreating it and all that stuff. I would say this is a big movie for you.
I would say that you're correct.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me in it, though, by the way, using your executive producerial capacity.
No, you were already in it. I came in late. You were already in. You were one of the reasons I came in. But, Mad Men's ending. You're the lead of a movie that's PG that appeals to all these families, hopefully, and is a big, broad movie.
I mean, you know this about me. I'm a unabashed sports fan and fan of sports movies.
Yes.
And Mark and Gordon, who you know as well, have made some of the best ones. With Miracle and The Rookie and Invincible and all these other ones. It's like, for my money, I could watch Miracle 15 times and it would get me every time. I can't get enough of that movie. And The Rookie's the same way. It's this kind of inspiring story that makes you feel good and it's about sports. I kind of jumped at the chance to do it and it's a good fit for me, being a sports fan and all that stuff. And it's exciting. I mean, it's just exciting. It's that these opportunities don't come along that much, and it's when they do, you hope it's not something hokey and
right,
where you're Air Bud 12, where you're just like another thing with the dog that's like.
Was that Air Bud's problem? It was hokey? I didn't realize. I always thought it was a script.
It was the writing. That was really the issue.
Maybe the Golden Retriever in Air Bud 12 wasn't that great either.
Well,
Yeah.
I never, to be full disclosure, I have not seen any of the Air Bud series.
But you make a good point. There's different types of sports movies, right? And especially as the sports movie genre has evolved over these last 10 years, it's become you have the raunchier sports movies.
Right.
You do the movies like $1 Million Baby and The Wrestler that are these gritty
kind of, right.
This is a PG movie. This is not a PG-13 movie.
No.
It's a family movie that I can take my 6-year-old boy to.
There's literally nothing offensive in it. And it's
your armpit sweat's a little offensive a couple times in India.
I guarantee you, had this been shot in Smell-O-Vision, there would have been a lot offensive in any of those scenes. Yeah, they don't do that anymore, which is too bad. But it is look, there's room in the landscape for that, and I kind of feel like it's kind of gone away a little bit. That Disney used to make a lot more movies like that, where it was a family movie, and now the kind of family movie has this sort of weird attachment where it's either animated.
It seems like it's always animated.
Or it's something, for like little kids.
Yes.
And this is like kind of a throwback. And it was I was thrilled not only to be in it, but to see how it came together and to see that it's actually like there's real emotion there and it's a true story. And it's actually one of those strange sports stories that not a lot of people know about.
I agree. I don't think a lot of people know this story. And I remember vaguely hearing about it, but not really.
I didn't. I mean, when I first read the script, I was like, it's based on a true story. I was like, come on, I'm a baseball fan. Like, how did I not hear about this?
We should say the story quickly is this agent who you play, J.B. Bernstein, he is down on his luck and comes up with this idea to go to India and try to find 2 cricket players to see if they can turn them into pitchers, sells it as a reality show, goes to India, and can't find anybody.
Until he does. And then he does, and he brings them back to the States. They win the contest.
And comedy ensues.
Hilarity ensues.
A lot of ensuing.
A lot of fish out of water.
Yeah, a little fish out of water.
There's some stuff.
Some elevator magic.
There's some magic. There's, I don't know. Which way does the escalator go?
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because it's a fish out of water kind of in both ways. I mean, when this guy goes to India, and having been to India, because we did shoot there, it is very different. And it is a disorienting experience, not only because the language issues and how far away on the other side of the world you are.
Crowded it is. Hot, sweaty, smelly.
All of that is very present. And the reverse is true when he brings these 2 kids back. And again, this actually happened. He did, in fact, bring these 2 17-year-old boys, took them out of their family, away from their home, and brought them to L.A., a place they had never seen, or, much less been to.
Brought them out of villages.
Tiny villages in India, and stuck them out in like Westwood. And you're like, okay, here you go, enjoy. And basically taught them from scratch. He didn't teach them. He hired Tom House, one of the gurus of baseball, to teach them in 10 months.
Right. Got
them to a place where they were technically and physically proficient at pitching.
And even like using a glove.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally had not touched a baseball, had no concept of what the game or the physical action or any of it was, other than they had kind of raw materials. They had good arms.
Well, the irony is neither of them played cricket.
Neither of them played cricket. One was a javelin thrower and one was a field hockey player. So the larger point is like, it's interesting because, especially for those of us who grew up loving sports and wanting to be an athlete, professional athletes at some point in their life, realizing that was never going to happen. But like having that desire and also having that kind of presence of looking at, look at all the, the sports heroes around this room. And every one of us has had a moment where they've looked to whoever it happens to be and been like, man, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that these 2 kids were able to kind of have that experience from a starting point of null, zero, to get to that place, and then that it actually happened. One of them's still in the league, and he's still in the minors.
We thought he had a chance to make the majors this year, and then he hurt his elbow.
And it's like that's also part of the game. But like these guys, like the training took, and so it's the lesson is like. The only reason that there hasn't been a baseball player come out of India, it's not that they can't play baseball. It's number one, they don't know about it. But number two, there's no system in place.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't 40 years ago in the Dominican Republic to pull guys out of there. Now they're cranking out middle infielders and baseball players like nobody's business because MLB went down there and put a training facility down there, and they realized that there was an opportunity to get off the island and have a career and do something with your life, and then ideally give back. I mean, I know Albert Pujols a little bit. He goes back every year and like brings a airplane full of doctors, and they fit all the little kids for glasses. Like he every year on his own dime. He doesn't.
You still talk to Albert Pujols?
I don't talk to him. He's not. We're not friends. But like,
I mean, after he left St. Louis to go to Anaheim.
I would talk to Albert.
I've
gone on record as saying I think that trade was good for everyone involved.
Okay, good.
But it's it's the same thing in Venezuela. Like they have these kind of places now, and now they're starting to do it in India. And the kids, these guys said one of the like most profound thing. You might have actually been there at the press conference when they said this, but like they were talking about seizing this opportunity and maximizing it, and watching how hard these kids worked which is such a lesson. Like you see these kind of entitled kids, these American kids or these like whatever, who just think that the world owes them a favor or something and don't want to work for anything.
Yeah.
And you watch these kids who are literally from dirt poor backgrounds come and realize the opportunity that they've been given, and yeah, they're going to work hard.
Well, and also you have the entire country rooting for them.
They have the entire country, but they're also operating, you know, they're playing with kids who have played the sport since they were 6.
Yep. Since
they could pick up a glove, they had one on.
Yeah.
They had to. So then he made that point too. He's like, if that kid had to work 100%, I had to work 300% because I don't. It's not in me.
Yeah.
You know, balk and stretch and all the other stuff, like how to hold. You know, all of that stuff is not ingrained. They had to learn that from scratch. So it's inspiring in that way too. Just like hard work.
I remember reading the script before, like even they had totally cast it and everything, and my fear was that. I actually thought the movie was going to work, which is why I want to be involved. But my fear was like, oh, I hope it's not too sappy.
Yeah.
Like it was sitting there that it could be too sappy.
Sure.
I don't feel like it's too sappy. Like, I really don't.
I don't either. That was one of the pleasant surprises I had watching it as well, because you're right. It can get into that kind of overly sentimental.
Yeah.
The music swells and everybody tears up a little bit, and then, you know.
Comes a little Party of Five-ish. Remember Party of Five? Eating at the restaurant at the end of the movie.
Did Nev Campbell, was Nev Campbell like a pitcher? I didn't know that. Oh, did Matthew Fox have like a decent slow curve?
You acted with Nev Campbell.
I did recently in the season premiere.
And it was the most unbelievable unannounced cameo on television in some time.
It was pretty cool, right?
It brought some resurfaced feelings for me that had been lying dormant since I was bartending in the mid-90s.
That you shifted onto Lacey Chabert.
She looked good, though.
She did look good, and she was very, very sweet and very, very.
Don Draper doesn't seal the deal this year. I just swore. Don Draper doesn't seal the deal this year. He's getting all these chances in the Mile High Club. He's just letting them go left and right.
Maybe
it's sad to watch your heroes get old.
Oh, come on. Maybe there's a lot of the show left to air.
Okay, good. Good. It's always sad to see Don pass up on the hanging fastball over the plate.
Well, look, I can't catch up to it anymore. It happens.
So anyway, it was sappy.
It doesn't veer into that territory, and I think that's testament to not only Tommy's script, but like the fact how the director Craig Gillespie, was able to kind of manage the tone of the film and really keep it, keep the humor real, keep the performances real, keep the emotion actually real, and yet not make it about the typical things that we see in sports movies of like, oh, the big game or the big thing, or like. There's a way you can pull on those strings too hard.
I agree.
And he I think did a really had a really deft touch with it. He didn't lean on it too much.
The other thing I was worried about was the Jerry Maguire shadow.
Sure.
Which, on the one hand, that movie came out 18 years ago, and there's a
really
whole generation. Yeah, can you believe that?
Wow.
But it doesn't mean there could never be another movie about an agent.
Look, and it was also a good movie.
Yeah.
So at least you're getting compared to a good movie, which I feel like is.
But I don't feel like there's really anything
other than it's a sports agent.
It's an agent.
It's
who's a little down on his luck in the beginning.
There literally couldn't be anything more different about it other than it's an agent and he meets a girl.
Well, the Indian guy's yelling "Show me the money" over and over.
That was
again.
very weird.
We probably should have taken that out. I feel bad about that.
One of their last names is Tidwell, which I feel like is not very Indian. But
I'll never understand why they didn't spin that movie off into a TV show with the Tidwells. Who wouldn't have wanted to watch the Tidwells for 10 episodes a year on HBO? I was all in on the Tidwells.
Could have been great.
Awesome. He could have battled concussions.
Sure.
Would have been great.
Played for the Cardinals. They would have gone to the Super Bowl eventually.
Absolutely.
There was there's Kurt Warner tie-in.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Kurt Warner. So Lake Bell, who's excellent in this movie.
Lake Bell is excellent in the film.
You guys have chemistry.
I've known Lake for probably 10 years.
What happens with chemistry with actors when it's male and female? Like, is it there immediately, or is it something where you start acting and you feel it? Like, how do you know? I don't know. I
think what it is, at least, and I don't know if I can quantify it in any real way, but I think part of it is like knowing someone. And I've known Lake, as I said, for years and years, and I'm not exactly sure how we met, but we've through like people on David Wayne and a bunch of people on like the Stella and the Stage, just kind of weird shared comedy friends, and we have a similar sense of humor, which is nice. I mean, that's part of it is kind of being able to dovetail your sense of humor. So if you're improvising or if you're kind of making stuff up, it doesn't it's not atonal, like it doesn't hit your ear wrong, but she's great and she's beautiful and she's funny and she's smart and She's wonderful in the film and kind of perfectly cast as this girl who kind of finally turns his head and also sort of tells him the truth for the first time. It's like, you know what, you got to shape up, buddy.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not a wet blanket role, which is one of the reasons I really like the script. Sport movie girlfriend is always a wet blanket.
She's always like bumming everybody out.
It's like, stop.
But she's
actually going to grow up.
Right. She's actually the one that kind of opens his eyes a little bit to like to being a little bit more responsible and a little bit more working as hard as the boys are, honestly. And I have to say, like, too, like in that vein, like Madhur and Suraj and Pitabash, the three Indian actors that we have, main Indian actors in the film, their performances are also phenomenal. I mean, it's just they bring so much emotion to this story, and it feels very real. You know, it feels very real. There's always that worry if you got somebody playing a athlete that, you know, they're not going to be able to throw, or they're going to look weird, or like.
That's always my biggest fear of sports.
It's going to look terrible. Like, the guy can't dribble. Like, why is he in a bat? What's he doing? Like,
Wesley Snipes with the high dribble and White Man Can't Jump. The Field of Dreams dad at the end.
That was
Costner.
Like,
come on.
Well, they threw differently.
Roy Hobbs' son.
Teens.
Remember Roy Hobbs' son at the end of Natural? Like, really? He doesn't even have a speaking role. You can't get somebody who could throw a baseball?
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a pet peeve of mine.
Sure. I mean, always. And you want that to be, you know, kind of handled well, but they
you know what the most famous story from recently is? Apparently John C. Reilly, who I love, he was the catcher in For Love of the Game, and apparently was rough going.
Really?
In the baseball scenes was the word in the street with
John
C. Reilly. It's tough. Being a catcher is not easy.
It's not easy.
Not easy.
True.
Not somebody who can just throw in an actor and being the catcher.
No, yeah.
So apparently there was a lot of cheating. I haven't watched this movie since I was told about that. You get the mask. It's true.
Else.
Oh, yeah.
You can get Yadi Molina back there.
That's true. He might have been back there.
Look for the neck tattoo. We'll see.
What is it? Give me your top 3 favorite baseball movies.
Natural.
Yeah. Hold on. Stop there for a second. Because The Natural was also my number one answer. And now we've been watching, for 30 years now, since 1984. I do find myself on watching after 338 times watching it, or however many times, I am starting to pick it apart a little bit. You know, you do that when you just see a movie too many times.
That's
I'm
fair.
Like, Redford, a little old. Old to be Roy Hobbs.
That's the point.
He's probably in his 50s in this movie.
You think?
Yeah.
Come on,
they had to shoot him in the
80s. He's not in his 80s now.
He's at least 70. He's in his late 70s.
But that movie came in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was.
They have to shoot him from some light angles. Woman in Black, really? Going to just shoot Roy Hobbs?
Yeah.
Just that's it? Not going to take out the whammer? You're going to take out Roy Hobbs? You have a gun?
It's a parable. I mean,
no, I know. I'm just saying I'm complaining after 338 viewings.
Well, that I think that's a hallmark of a movie that stands up.
That's
you can
my
get
point.
Into the multi-hundreds and only then start being like, you know.
You're in layers into layers into layers into layers.
It's one of the best.
Bump Bailey's going to die running through the wall. He's just going to die. He's going to hit a wooden fence and drop dead.
I like that he went through it, though. I mean, that's
pretty good.
But I think it's, for me, one of the best endings of literally
incredible.
Just like
get the chills every time.
Absolutely.
You know what else gives me the chills? When he shows up for the final game, and the manager does the little speech. He's shaving. He's like, "Well, you're the best stand player I ever saw. Suit up." It's great. Great Wilford Brimley.
It is a quintessential Brimley.
Best Brimley you're going to get.
It's 1,000% Brimley.
So that's one. So what's two?
This might not be as universally accepted, but I'd say Bull Durham.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's funny.
Some people would say it's ineligible because it started appearing on the Lifetime Network.
Fair enough.
It's unclear if it's a rom-com or a sports movie at this point.
It's fairly clear that it's a sports movie.
Wow, Lifetime throws me off a little. My number 2 is Bad News Bears and Breaking Training.
Why the second one or the third one?
I love the second one. When they drive to the Astrodome.
Bill Devane?
Yeah. Bill Devane, who's ignored his kid his whole life and in the blink of an eye is now coaching them in the Astrodome. I love that movie.
I don't know.
I watched it with my kids and they were so into it.
The first one is so good.
First one's good.
The first one is and
the
Tatum
second
O'Neal,
one is ridiculous.
If you didn't have a crush on Tatum O'Neal when you were 13 years old, you didn't have a pulse.
A little racist after all these years.
Tatum or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking Training, though, had the guys piling into the van and driving to the Astrodome.
Yes.
Kelly Leak was like 13, drove from California
Sure.
to Texas.
That's what you did back then.
I love that movie.
The rules were different in the 70s.
He's smoking. He's behind the van.
He was a bad
packed
boy.
in the back. It was
He was
great.
a bad boy.
Major League?
Major League is up there, but I'd go Bull Durham over Major League. And
I think I would too.
I don't know. Number one, I think it's a little bit. I like Major League, but it's got kind of the like what we were talking about. It's the wacky sports movie a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still very funny, and I guess
the Rookie's in there.
Well, I have to say it because those guys are in the other room.
The Rookie's great. The Rookie's not on.
The Rookie
enough.
is very good.
I feel like the Rookie is on about 80% less than it should.
There's a moment in The Rookie where Quaid's standing by the side of the road. And there's that radar gun.
Yeah.
And he, it's like that's the one that gives me the chills in that thing when he throws it and it says like 86 or whatever. And he knows
great.
that's not enough, but then the thing flickers and after he's gone it says 96 or whatever.
Cool. That part's great. I also love all the baseball parts of For Love of the Game. And as far as I'm concerned,
never saw it.
You could re-edit that movie and take out all the Kelly Preston scenes, and it would be a better movie. Just take her out. Just write her out of the movie. That would have been my note. Can we take out all of
What
Kelly
if
Preston
they
scenes?
re-edited that movie and put all the Kelly Preston scenes from
another movie? Oh, from Jerry Maguire? Yeah, that would be interesting.
But I do also I would say, no offense, you guys, that my last one would be Field of Dreams, because that
Me
one,
too.
We
both saw that at the right age.
Exactly. And I had this experience that still freaks me out to this day, where I was in college. I was in Austin, so I must have been like 19 years old. And it came on like the CBS Sunday Night Movie or whatever, when they used to have movies on Sunday nights. Like after 60 Minutes, like they showed Field of Dreams. And I remember watching it and totally tearing up at the end, thinking like my dad was like dying, like he wasn't doing great. He ended up dying like a year later. But I picked up the phone and my sister was on the phone. It didn't ring. I picked up the phone and my sister was on the phone and I was like, "Hello?" She's like, "Hello?" I was like, "Julie?" She goes, "I was just calling you." I was like, "Why?" She goes, "Did you just watch Field of Dreams? Did you think of Dad?" I was like, "Yes." And we both started like losing it. I was like, that just happened. And that's the kind of emotional stuff that I'm still a sucker for.
Well, that was one of those movies. I saw that in the theater with my friend Jen in Worcester, Massachusetts in 1989 or whatever it was. And it was one of those, everyone just sits in the seat after.
Yeah, just letting it process.
You see the headlights coming in. It's also Costner at his all-time apex ever.
But I read the book also.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew the story and knew everything going in. It's a great book. Kinsella, I think, wrote it. Really, really great book. But like Burt Lancaster, I mean, come on, like
James Earl Jones,
some
great. What was the guy's name? Terrence Mann. Some great Terrence Mann.
Generational kind of stuff happening there. Amy Madigan is there's like some good. Wasn't she the wife?
Yes, she was really good in that movie.
Really good.
My daughter might be old enough for that one.
How old?
She's 9. I think it could be time because she's as old as the daughter in the movie. Then you have Tim Busfield. He's representing them. He doesn't believe. He doesn't see. What are you doing with these ghosts? That's a great one. That's 25 years old. Costner also has a sneaky good mullet.
Oh, in that film? A little. There's a miniature party in the back?
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a garden party in the back.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's not a rager.
A little bit. In your movie, I should say our movie, Bill Paxton.
You should say my movie.
My movie. Bill Paxton plays Tom House. And it's like, you forget, Bill Paxton, really good career.
Also
was in Titanic.
Yeah.
Did a lot of stuff.
Twister.
And is really good in this movie as Tom House, which is kind of like it was a part that really in the wrong hands could have just been this nothing unmemorable part.
He's very believable as Tom House too. Have you ever met House?
No.
He's an interesting guy.
Is he?
I've never met him either. I've only seen like tapes and stuff of him, but he's a very interesting guy. In fact, there's that little clip at the end of the movie where, spoiler alert, but where you see the real Tom House. And
oh
wow, they did a good job. Like,
look
a lot alike. Paxton's great. He's funny. He's got stories. Like he's.
Oh, does he have stories?
Oh yeah, like he's a.
Did you go out drinking with him and make him tell you stories?
Oh yeah, we ended up one night at there's that place in Atlanta, the Claremont.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the crazy, like, it's not really a strip club. It's like a bar, but then there's also like an element of that to it. Like, it's very, very like weird, but it's very Atlanta. Everyone talks about it, and it's like that place. So like a big group of us went there one night. Just it was really fun.
Bill Paxton's telling Twister stories.
Oh yeah, he's got a.
So I'm on a car with Helen Hunt and Phil Seymour Hoffman.
Jan de Bont he'll shake a camera, you guys.
I love that. He'd probably be a good podcast.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I like those guys getting them right in there where they don't give a crap anymore. I feel like he's
definitely
right there.
in that world, and the guy's got a resume as long as your arm. Like, it's
25 years of movies now at this point.
So he was wonderful, and it was really great to work with him and Alan Arkin, and like everyone in the film. I was just like, it kept kind of being more and more pleasant to see, who they got and who wanted to be in it and who, everybody kind of had the same feeling of like, I think we were going to make a good movie.
Yeah.
And we did.
So all this publicity you're doing for it, and you're basically answering the same question like 200 different times in 200 different ways.
Differences. You have to make it look like you're thinking of it at the time, where you have it chambered.
Yeah.
Like 3 baseball movies, easy.
Yeah.
You got to chamber, but you have to you got to fake it a little bit.
Well, now
not that I'm doing that.
You're going to have Bad News Bears and Breaking Training now. Now you have 4. No, you'll throw that in now. You should. It'll get such a weird reaction. People are like, what? The second movie, not the first one?
He's a huge fan. Right, that's so weird.
It's great, Blvd. So you're just going to go on. Did it start yet? Have you started doing all the talk shows?
No,
interviews and stuff? It's like
really.
in 2 weeks, right?
It's in a week.
I'll
go to New York and kind of I'll do Kimmel next Monday. I don't know when.
Oh, we should mention, we have an awesome thing scheduled for that Kimmel Day. May 6th is the red carpet premiere in Hollywood.
Yes.
And we also have, that same time right before the movie, we're doing the baseball throw.
Yeah.
We found these 9 people from across the country who are going to try to throw 100 miles an hour. And they get $1 million if they do it. They're doing it on Hollywood Boulevard. Kimmel's going to be peripherally involved.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's
somebody threw 97 in one of the tryouts.
No, I heard somebody.
I mean, this is getting interesting.
Somebody did hit high 90s, and it's not easy to throw a baseball with velocity, not to mention with accuracy.
Yes.
And there's a reason why, guys like whoever, Rob Nen and Jason Mott and these guys, don't necessarily have the longest careers because it's devastating to your arm to throw that hard. But some guys can do it. And when you watch dudes that can do it and you watch how physically fast that ball comes in,
and how effortless it is when they do it.
When they do it, they're not reaching back.
Yeah, it's not
behind their ankles and throwing. It's emotion, and it's something that
like Rosenthal.
Trevor Rosenthal's exactly like that. We have like 9 dudes on the Cardinals that can hit high 90s, and they're all young and they're all good and they all want to win, and that's why I feel very good about the Cardinals this year.
You should feel good about the Cardinals this year. I also feel good about them because they helped the Red Sox win the World Series in 04 and
I don't want to talk about
13. And you came over. You're at my house.
Other than that, you're welcome. And I happen to be strangely
you're a good
your lucky charm. I know.
Pedro had the little person in 2004, and now we have you. You've replaced Nelson De La Rosa.
Oh, I know. It's such
I was excited for Blues Bruins. Blues Bruins, we're going to get back together.
We did not deliver on our part of that deal, unfortunately.
Yeah,
you guys have a shot.
It was good. You guys have probably a better shot, I would say, for the Cardinals.
Yes. Well,
the Cardinals. Well, no, the Bruins have a good shot too, obviously. But
Bruins have
hockey always makes me nervous because
anything can happen.
As we were discussing before we start taping the podcast, it's a sport where you can be up 3-0, and then all of a sudden it's 3-3, and nobody got hurt. You don't know what happened. Like the San Jose Sharks, as we're taping this is Game 7 tonight. Yeah. But like they're up 3-0, and they looked like the '82 Oilers.
Yeah, they were unstoppable. They were
running the Kings off the ice, and now it's tied 3-3, and I don't understand.
And no one understands why.
I sit behind the net at Kings games trying to figure out if there's some sort of higher understanding of hockey that I'm missing.
Well, but
and it really comes down to who's trying hard.
I always have
this effort.
This feeling, and I've been a long-suffering Blues fan and watched us flame out in the playoffs year after year after year. And it's varying degrees of devastating. This one hurt a lot because it was the Blackhawks who had a lead.
The Ryan Miller trade.
Everything was overtime. It could have gone either way.
They crippled your best guy.
They knocked out Backus with a horribly illegal and dangerous hit. But I always have this experience watching hockey where you just get like feelings.
Yes.
Where you're like, they're going to
score. Like a blackjack table.
They're going to score. It's happening. Like the puck's in the wrong end for a little too long. somebody the wrong lines out against the wrong line. People are scuffling. And you're like. You get that weird feeling like something's going to happen, like a dog feeling an earthquake or something.
It's very true.
When a dog gets up and runs out of the room, something's going to happen. And you just feel it like in a hockey game. You can feel that momentum shift. And it's impossible to kind of put your finger on what's happening. But when the passes are crisp and the things are happening, the puck's moving around, you're like, they're going to put the puck in the net. I've said it 3 times in the Blues-Blackhawks series with a witness.
It's an ESP
This is
thing.
the time where they're usually going to score, and like within 30 seconds, the puck was in the net. And the person was like, how do you know that? I was like, I can't even explain it.
That's the best description of hockey I've ever heard.
You're welcome.
Or in the top 100.
Top 100. Well,
no, but it's true. You sit there and you watch, and you just have this instinct for certain things. And also, like, there's weird omens in hockey.
Oh, yeah.
If you miss some sort of big opportunity, the karma is just, you just know. You're like, we're screwed.
It's like the crazy, making the crazy defensive play in the top half of an inning, and then that guy comes up to bat. You're like, he's going to do something. He's going to do something.
Or it's like at a blackjack table when it's going great and somebody gets wonky and they hit the 16 against the 6 or something, and then it just the cards shift, and you're like,
gotta leave.
I can't scientifically prove that ruined my night, but I know it did. And I'm leaving, and I'm going to that table. Well, and you've always
been a big believer. I know you write about it all the time, but you're a big believer in sort of like superstitions and those indescribable and indefinable moments of like when something shifts, and we all know it.
Yeah,
everyone. God, as a Red Sox fan, I'm sure you're like, we're cursed. This isn't going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, and yet the last couple times it has, and it's.
Well, our friend Hench, who is the all-time example of just somebody. He has to send the reverse jinx emails and like the angry tirades against whoever's not doing on the Red Sox. It's all part of some weird process in his head.
He's got to like get it out and get it out of his body and into the universe so it can blow away or something.
His pain. I actually wish I could release a coffee table of his Boston sports emails.
I've been the benefactor of several of them. Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, hockey is amazing. And like Game 3 of the Kings series, they dominated the overtime, and they got to a point where it's like they're going to lose.
Right.
They've had 13 minutes of chances here, and the Sharks have done nothing. And this is going to end with some weird puck hitting 6 guys and going in. It was basically exactly what happened. Guy flipped to the net, hit somebody's shoulder, hit a stick.
In.
Quick, never saw, and thanks, that's your overtime.
I had that experience watching, or actually listening to, because I was on a plane, Game 6 of the Blues series. When it was 1-1, by all accounts, the Blues were out playing the Blackhawks. They're playing very well. They had something like 6 power plays to the Blackhawks 1 or none.
Yes.
Including a double minor, including all this stuff, and they couldn't put it away. And I was texting my friend who lives in St. Louis. I'm like, what's going to happen. They're going to get 1 power play. They're going to put the puck in the net, and the game's over.
Yes.
That's exactly what I sent that text as the second period.
That's hockey.
Ended. 2 minutes a minute into the third period, they score on the power play, and then the floodgates open.
We were talking right before we went on, but I'm rehashing it. The Kings killed a 5-on-3 in the second period, and it struck me as it was happening because the crowd was just so into it, and it struck me like it's like hockey's secret fantastic moment is the 5-on-3 with the home team only has the 3. And they have to get in that little tiny triangle.
You realize just,
and the other team's just moving closer and closer.
How impossible it is when you're 2 men down.
It's impossible.
In a 5-man game.
Right.
It's not like being 2 men down on a soccer pitch where you're like, okay, which is also really, really difficult.
No.
But a 5-man game, when you're watching that triangle, as you say, just sort of shrink.
Yeah.
And they might as well just literally all stand in the crease and just stand next to each other and like, all right, shoot.
And then even like if there's a rebound or something, everybody's so close to the triangle they can't get the rebound, so it'll come back out. And it's just a cycle, and it's like everyone's standing and yelling, and it's super exciting. And when they kill it, it's the best.
One of the more sort of cathartic moments too, when you kill that off.
Yeah.
The puck finally clears the zone for the last time, and the dudes get out of the box. People
they go nuts.
Mind. And that's another one of those things. Like if you kill a 5-on-3. You're scoring within the next couple minutes.
Very true.
because the other team's deflated. They didn't put the puck in the net. They're bummed out. It was a huge opportunity. Your team is amped up, fired up. They killed it. They're ready to go. That thing tilts.
The team never scores after not getting the 5-on-3.
No.
Like, you can just write them off for the next 10 minutes.
They've got to process the fact that they failed.
And then the other great thing that I love about hockey, which also happened in Game 6, was the Kings scored like 3 goals in a row in the third period. And then
which at home is like.
It's just like, it was just like, they're done. And the Sharks were just.
That happened to the Blues in Game 6.
Right.
Chicago, bam, bam, bam.
But your series was over. This one had a Game 7.
Right.
So the Sharks were like, well, we're going to lose the series. Let's just mess with all the Kings. The next face-off, Rafi Torres is punching Mike Richards in the head. And it just goes from there. Or Rafi Torres punched somebody else.
Bad to worse.
They just started targeting all the Kings who couldn't fight. And you're sitting there thinking, like, basketball's my favorite sport. And basketball's turned into touch football crossed with everything I hate about society, basically, where you're not even allowed to do anything, and the referees, and there's all these new rules, and God forbid anybody got competitive at any point. And hockey's the complete opposite. Yeah.
Or it's like anything goes.
I'm mad at the score. I'm just going to fight this guy right now and try to hit him in the head till we get separated. And I might just hit him as hard as I can with my stick like this.
Just in case.
Yeah. It's great.
I don't mean to. I'm just frustrated.
Yeah,
I'm mad.
Just frustrated. And it's totally different.
We're all mad, right, guys? Like, come on. We all know it. And who doesn't? It's the actual in-game equivalent of throwing your remote at the television.
It really is. But in the 70s when they fought, it would take like 10 minutes to separate Terry O'Reilly from whoever he was trying to fight. And then the rest
Who was the dude that got laid out at center court?
Which one?
He was
center ice? Center court, Tom Jaranovich. Yeah.
Laid out.
Right. But I mean, now that's like this code. It's like you do it, you skate to the penalty box. There's no animosity as soon as the fight's over.
It's handled. It's done.
It's incredible.
It's not the best part of the game. Like fighting is it does have this strange kind of, it's a vestige of an older part of the game, but it does as you say sort of like solves the issue. And you're like, okay, you did something we don't like. We're going to do this. Then we're not going to talk about it anymore. And I'll go to the thing, and we're going to give you an opportunity to like maybe score on the power play, whatever. Like, but that
you cheap shot at our dude last game.
That needed to happen.
Right.
The scales are balanced.
Yes. There's some weird justice. There's a little Timothy Oliphant.
But like the strange thing to me too is like. Those dudes are literally punching like ballistic plastic.
I know.
With their bare fists.
How do they not break their hands like every other week?
Like, have you ever seen it? Like any?
They break knuckles,
hockey
right?
Players, yeah. It looks like their hand is made of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And they're huge. And those guys are so big now.
They seem like the best guys of all the sports from my interactions.
I would
like if my daughter was going to date an athlete, I would think the hockey genre would be
I would cautiously agree with that. I think maybe relief pitchers are probably pretty fun too.
Oh, because there's so much spare time in the bullpen.
Nothing to do.
Yeah,
they all have hobbies.
Yeah,
they'll sit back there. They'll they're growing plants out in the bullpen.
Talking about Mad Men.
What
about Roger Sterling? What's happening to him this year? It's crazy.
I got to warm up. It wouldn't be a bad gig. If I was reincarnated in another life, I'd be a bullpen catcher. You get great seats to the game, good guys to hang out with.
Yeah,
you're probably catching 30, 40 pitches a day.
I'd want to be a lefty specialist. Lefty specialist.
Oh yeah, like Doug Ossenmacher.
You're Tony Fassis.
Who was the guy the Cardinals had?
We both had Tony Fassis.
Oh, in 13.
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't either. Never mind.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, we'd want to be that guy. It's a good job.
Paul Ossenmacher.
Paul Ossenmacher. One batter, you're in, you're out.
You're in, you're out. Hey,
guys, where are we going tonight?
What are we doing? Oh, I feel good.
Plus, you're going against people who are terrible
literally can't hit you.
Lefties.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like David Ortiz hitting 209 against lefties.
You know that you have, you're good. I'm going to throw these 9 curveballs.
Yeah. 2
or 3 maybe strikes. You're swinging at the other ones.
Can we talk about Mad Men really quickly?
Yes.
So Mad Men, season whatever it is.
Well,
it's a split season.
That's airing now as seasons, what we're calling season 7A.
Season 7A.
Because
which should really just be season 7.
It's a truncated season. It's only 7 episodes.
Right.
And we are at this point actually halfway through it because the 3rd episode just aired. The 4th one will air Sunday, and here we are.
So we're taping this on April 30th. So 3 episodes are in the books, I think.
Yes.
Do you find
back to the agency?
Do people talk to you like they think you're Don Draper?
Sometimes.
Like, do they ask you questions like you're responsible for Don Draper's actions?
Sometimes. I mean, people. I think people have varying degrees of understanding on how like television gets made.
Yeah.
And like and I've said it. I know I've said it a million times because I can hear it. But like I'm like. I don't write the show.
Right.
Like,
I'm just an actor, dude.
Like, I don't literally come to set and be like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Right. I'm going to do this and this and that, and then I'll say this to that person. Can we get, like, a Peggy in here? And, like, they're all waiting in, like, some waiting room, and I get to, like, determine.
That's what David Caruso does with CSI Miami, I think.
It might be. But
I don't.
put
a body in the ground, and they're like, and he goes, here's what I'm going to do.
Here's what I'm going to do. I got my sunglasses, I got a one-liner, and we're ready to go. I don't write the show, so, you know, it's. I love the show. I love being on the show. You know, it's for my money one of the best things on TV.
I would agree.
And so I'm happy to be a part of it. And it's been fun this like last chapter. You know, it's nice to be able to get to tell the end of the story too. We kind of came out of the gate firing and got a lot of, you know, press early on and people were talking about the show a lot, and it's nice to actually have that part of it. So you've established yourself in this world, but it's also nice to have the end part. And I imagine it's a tremendous challenge for Matthew to write the ending because you know it's going to be under a lot of scrutiny, and you
don't like
never
that.
really know. But
I don't like this new era where every season finale is dissected endlessly and it's never going to please everybody.
Well, and I think you have to understand that at some sort of fundamental level. Like you're never going to please everyone. I know our show is not for everyone. It's not. You know, it will never get the audience of something like The Walking Dead because it just doesn't appeal to that wide a swath of the viewing public. It just doesn't. It's not designed that way.
Yeah.
Or even Breaking Bad, which had a kind of a reverse trajectory from us where it started like no one saw that show in the first season. And then as DVRs and DVDs and all this kind of binge watching happened, the people realized that it was a wonderful show and the momentum of the show carried its audience and the audience grew and grew and grew. Our situation has been a little kind of reverse of that, where there's sort of this big thing, and then like it's gotten to where it's like only the hardcore people are down with it, and it makes sense. Like it's a different viewing experience in many ways.
Definitely more characters, more plots, more things to remember happening over a longer period of time. And also I think when you go away for a year and you come back, like I spend the first episode being like,
yeah, who knows?
Why does he have the eye patch?
Right,
you do a lot of that. Where Breaking Bad, it was like four characters, basically.
And also, like it's got an element to it where like we know where we're going, like, and it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah,
and they handled it incredibly well. I was totally impressed with the end of Breaking Bad. It was great.
They did about as well from a critical internet.
Yeah, as you can. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be someone who's like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But there's probably people that say that about, you know,
at some
chocolate.
Point, that's why we have the internet. Exactly. They're going to complain about stuff.
So there's going to be, don't you wish there was like one part of the internet where like it was just called like the hater net, where they could just
They could just all go?
Yeah, just all go there and say how horrible everything is, and then you could go there if you wanted to, like, you know, check in on like something you really hate and be like, oh wow, you know. Donald Sterling.
The hater net. I think you're onto something with the hater net.
It'd be great. But then it would also leave the actual internet to just people who wanted to say nice things.
Yeah. It's an interesting plan.
Just saying.
You should present it to President Obama.
I'll present it to
his internet community.
Dave Google, the president of Google.
Dave Google.
I'm pretty sure that's his name, right? Or is it Gary Google? Maybe 2 G's is funnier.
Well, is it weird to be on the show while also being a fan of the show? Like when you're like, let's say, when do you see the episodes? When they come on, like everybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So so who do you watch them with?
Well, Jen's in New York doing a play, so I usually watch them by myself here. But sometimes we'll have like people over, and I mean, because they don't really not as much anymore. Like, you know, it's not as novel as it was back in the day, where like maybe we'd have friends over, watch a show, whatever. But you know, it's also not like tremendously comfortable to like watch yourself make out with other people in front of your girlfriend or other people.
Yeah, I would watch everything by myself.
It's like,
I think you're doing the right thing.
It's not the most comfortable experience, but I haven't seen anything but the first episode of this. I was traveling for the last two, so
you got them in the DVR.
Got them on the DVR.
Interesting.
You know,
these Sunday nights, it's like Game of Thrones versus Mad Men for 7 weeks. It is an unbelievable Sunday night.
Jam-packed. You got Veep, too. Throw Veep in there.
Little Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. It's a
good one.
Sunday night has been, the night for go-to television quite some time.
I was thinking of it almost like a boxing match where you guys head-to-head against Game of Thrones, and you just do each weekend's a round. And I felt like Game of Thrones, it was like, I mean, it was an iconic Game of Thrones episode. Your first episode against the one they had, because, spoiler alert, somebody ended up dying.
Right.
That was almost caused an internet riot.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they won that round. I feel like you won this last round against them. And so now it's in my head the whole time as I'm watching.
I love this.
I'm like Harold Letterman, like, okay, Jim. I feel like but it's great. It's just great to have both those shows.
So we're tied on the
time.
card. Is that what you're saying? We're like, right,
I don't remember how many rounds there's
9,
been.
10?
It's something like that. I can't remember how. Well, you've had 3.
We've had 3. They've had 3.
I think you might be down 2-1.
Okay. So you're saying the one you're talking about is the second episode, where
your second episode.
No, the one you're talking about, the Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
That was the second episode.
Yeah, I forget how it works. It's you're either down or up 2-1, but it's close. It's going to be a nice 7-round battle. I'm excited for it.
I love it.
Now, Game of Thrones is a show with a lot of characters.
It is.
I mean, it's like
that's a show where you better be paying attention to. And I usually watch it kind of at the end of the night where I kind of fall asleep. And then you're like, I got to go from the top because I can't remember who was doing what to who. And they all kind of have weird names that you're not sure you heard the right way.
Or who's related to who.
I liked it better when they all wore the animal that they represented on them at some place where you could be like, right, that's the stag, and that's the wolf, and that's the crow.
Yeah.
And what's that guy with that's the dude with the money bags or whatever. Like, okay.
I just spend every episode rooting for Khaleesi to come in with her dragon babies. That's all I care about.
It's literally, you cannot be alone. I bet that is a significant portion of that viewing audience is like, when are the dragons going to grow up and start breathing fire?
I had a podcast last week with my friend House, and we were talking about nobody's ever had a higher scenes they've done versus how great the scenes were percentage than like if there was PER for acting for a character. It's like anytime she's in a scene, it's like, this is going to be awesome. Like either she's going to be telling people to revolt against their king, or there's going to be a dragon baby, or she's going to be mating with somebody. Like who knows what's going to happen with Khaleesi?
I think they're dragon teens at this point, by the way.
That's dragon toddler. Dragon toddler.
Dragon adolescents. But no, she's talking in front of like, a 5,000 person army, or she's standing at the top of a pyramid.
Looking out into the Western world.
She gets a lot of, but to be fair, she's earned it.
Right.
She had it rough the first season.
There's not a lot of scenes where they're like, hey, Khaleesi, what do you think of the race? It's good. So how's everything? It's pretty good.
I don't know. I'm all right.
Yeah. So what do you think we're going to the West? I don't know. All right. And scene. So it was like, oh, here comes some dragons.
Here comes like the dragons and like the 9,000 dude army that's like synchronized marching.
It's a great show. So who is the person you're closest with on Mad Men? Is it Slattery?
Probably Slattery, yeah.
So how many episodes left have you had before you're done filming?
We are shooting the third one of the final 7. So we have the rest of this third and then 4 more.
So it's got to feel like senior year in college a little bit.
Definitely. And with all of the attendant, like, good and bad parts, like, where you're kind of, like, looking for another gig.
Right.
Like, what's next?
Applying to grad school.
Right. Like, I got to get my applications out and, like, what's going to happen.
People are annoying you a little bit.
Some people got in early. Like, they've got stuff booked. Like, they're happy. And also, like, you're saying goodbye to your friends, so you're kind of processing that. And you're just like, oh, man, like I'll still be friends with Slatty and Lizzie and Vinny and all those guys.
Yeah.
And Christina, everyone. But like there won't be that like excuse to get together every day and every year to like
you got to work at it almost like
it's like a real friendship.
Buddies. Yeah.
Where you got to like you're moving on. And it's kind of like, well, we're all going to go. It's not like we're all moving to 4 corners of the earth, but
at least until the Mad Men movie comes out.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
In like 1978.
Right. No.
The disco era?
It'll literally be a remake of Fast Break. Don Draper will be the Gabe Kaplan character.
He can grow the beard.
Oh, easily.
It's like, like 2 days.
I've established my beard.
Your 5 o'clock shadow.
I'm good.
Is it weird that that they've turned Peggy into basically a serial killer, like knowing her in real life and how that character's evolved, and now all of a sudden she's not the evil force of the show?
That's not true. I think that she's, been put upon for quite some time, and it's coming out as the frustration is definitely there for her.
She's embattled.
And it's hard, and it's always been hard for her, but there's always been at least this kind of moment where she gets to shine, and she hasn't had that for a while, and now she's got me to deal with again, and so that's just brings up all that other stuff that's been dredged up that she thought was gone.
Yeah.
And there's that line in the last episode where she's like, I can't say we missed you. And it's kind of like,
tough.
Yeah, it was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I gave you this job.
Right.
And yet she's got a point, and she's got a totally valid, reason to not like Don. And who knows if that's gonna stay that way, honestly.
What's it like working with the what's her name? Kieran Shipka? Kieran Shipka?
She's great.
So she was like 6 when you started working with her? And now she's like this sassy New York socialite 13-year-old on the show who's like...
She's 14.
Who totally gets it.
She's turning 15 this year. And as you well know or will find out, the years from 6 to 15 you couldn't change more as a young lady. But she's got a great head on her shoulders. She's tremendously talented. She has good parents.
Good.
All of those things.
Good parents are important.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier to kind of navigate through those relationships. And she's had a lot of tough stuff to do on the show. I mean, stuff that's like embarrassing and challenging as an actor, and she's handled it all with like this kind of preternatural grace that's been cool, because we got lucky. You never know. If you hire a kid at 6, you don't know what they're going to turn into by
that is true.
15. You don't know.
Bob Saget says that a lot. Full House.
I bet he does.
Olsen's like, who knew?
Who knew?
These twin babies.
They're billionaires.
So we have to go. Mad Men, 4 episodes left.
AMC Sunday nights.
And then $1 Million Arm, May 16th. Although we are trying out a couple sneak previews.
Are we?
In the week before, just a couple.
Good.
Hey, I don't know what cities, but keep an eye out for those.
Keep an eye out. It's a good
Friday.
movie. You'll like it. I really do believe that, and I'm happy to shout it from the rooftops. I think it's every time I've seen it, it's had the right effect on me. So I hope people.
I would say it's a date movie.
Definitely.
But you can also take your kids.
Both.
How many movies can you say that about?
The Lego Movie.
The Lego Movie could say. How many non-animated movies could you say that about?
None.
Jon Hamm, good to see you as always.
Likewise.
A pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Soon. See you this summer. Good luck with everything.
Cheers.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Gotta say, Golick, great call on grabbing Subway for lunch and getting guacamole on our subs.
Told you this new guac really amps up the flavor.
Yep, something adding up things can be great. Guacamole on your sub, a new co-host to replace you.
What was that?
Oh, no, nothing.
Subway now has deliciously rich new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of garlic, onion, and jalapeno. Discover how new guacamole turns up the flavor on any of your freshly made favorites. Subway, eat fresh.